My assignment today is on culture immersion experience, and I chose the African American culture as my PowerPoint presentation. I wanted to share some of the four aspects of the American culture that I picked up on. Um, I noticed that music was a big priority in the American culture, as well as dance, art, and literature. With the dance, there was many African American dances that were rooted in their culture. They had a tradition that every day in their life they had special occasions where they would ring shouts and dance. And so these shows often presented African Americans with popular dances um, and contemporary African American dances as well. Within their art, the African Americans' early origins in slavery, the African Americans' art was made a vital contribution to the arts of the United States. During the 19th century, Harriet Powers made quilts in rural Georgia that are now considered amongst the finest examples of 19th century quilting. And also in their literature, African American literature has its roots in oral traditions of the African slaves in America. There's many fables, and that were written in the African American literature. Roots, the Saga of an American Family, was a book that was written by Alex Haley, and then The Color Purple by Alice Walker. Um, Beloved was written by Toni Morrison, which was a Nobel Prize winning book. Historical and current oppressions that African Americans experienced was slavery. From the earliest days of the 17th century, African Americans experienced slavery, and also they experienced they experienced social marginalization. They were physically isolated and experienced societal marginalization of their free progeny that facilitated the retention of significant elements of their traditional culture. Currently, they experience systematic inequality, displacement, and exclusion. Some of the events that I wanted to summarize was the Harlem Renaissance. This took place in the 1920s and the 1930s. Um, the first major public recognition of African Americans. Um, Pioneered by Elena Locke, was an African American musician. Music, literature, and art gained wide notice. So, authors such as Zora Neale Hurston and Nella Larson um, wrote works describing the African American experience. Um, the Harlem Renaissance was also a time of increased political involvement for African Americans. Among the notable African Americans' political movement founded in the early 20th century are the Universal Negro Improvement Association and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. The Black Power movement of the 1960s was an event that I wanted to expound on. This event followed was in the 1960s and 1970s, and it followed in the wake of the nonviolent civil rights movement. This movement promoted racial pride and ethnic cohesion in contrast to the focus of integration of the civil rights movement. So it was inspired as a new renaissance of the African American literary and artistic expression, generally referred to as the African American movement. The works of this popular During the African American cultural movement, Melvin Charles and Gleason Jackson created the Black American Heritage Flag. Another major aspect of the African American arts movement was the infusion of the African aesthetics, a return to a collective culture sensitivity. Key things that I learned was the talent in music and dance. I found that African Americans were very, very talented in their music and in their dance. Summary of an agency or organization in interviewing. I took, when I had to choose what course that I wanted to take, I chose the history of hip hop. And as a class in my college, I was able to learn so much about the history of how hip hop was created in New York, and and so I got to learn a lot about the African American culture and some of the ways that they brought out their talents and was able to advance in their careers. I also, as an individual, experienced interviews with African Americans as a case manager, assisting them in services that were needed to help them to get out of poverty. And so it was nice to be able to come alongside African American clients and assist them in finding ways to just to find the resources that they needed to create a better life for themselves. I also was a part of Christian Outreach and Action, and it was a homeless organization. And I came in contact with a lot of African Americans there, and some of them were volunteered their time to assist in helping the homeless, and were homeless themselves. And so I got to have conversations with them on some of their experiences as being an African American, and some of the things that they experienced from white people, and how hard it was on them. And in these times of being able to be a case manager, I got to apply cognitive behavioral therapy and helping some of these clients to change the way that they think, and changing the inner dialogue that they had with themselves. And so it was very helpful to me to be able to utilize these therapeutic approaches and assisting these African American clients in creating a better life for themselves. I also was able to utilize dialectical behavioral therapy in these situations with these clients, changing emotional regulation, stopping the violence, helping them to find coping skills to be able to deal with the emotions of being treated as a minority or being segregated, and how they can regulate those emotions and do things to distract themselves to be able to deal with it differently. The summary of experiences I went to Venice Beach, and Venice Beach is a beach in California, and many times I was able to experience breakdancing, not doing it myself, but watching the talent of African Americans who were able to breakdance, and then seeing the artwork that some of these graffitis were just beautiful artwork. And so it was just seeing the talent and just all of their ability to use their skills and their talents was something that was an interesting experience for me. Thank you.